and is being supported by the National Mission for Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. The conclave is on the theme Sustainable Water Management, Solving the Most Pressing Water Challenges through Reclaimed Water. And ladies and gentlemen, today the presence of eminent dignitaries is a source of inspiration for all of us. I would now like to request Ms. Nanala Kidbai to kindly welcome and honor our honorable guest with a green certificate. We present a green certificate to our special guest, Mr. G. Ashok Kumar. We present to Ms. D. Tara, Additional Secretary, ANCV, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to end this year with our annual event, a critical event because it tackles things which are close to all of our heart, indeed critical for the country, the whole area of water and water management. So this is our 9th Indian Industry Water Conclave, and it's the 11th edition of the FICCI Water Awards and held under the aegis of the FICCI Water Mission. We are truly grateful to the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation, who again this year have partnered us in this important agenda. I started the FICCI Water Mission in 2011, basically to promote awareness, advance policy dialogue, and to provide thought leadership in this area. The organizations that have come forward over the years sharing their best practices has only grown, and with every year the bar goes up, and we can see this from the entries we get for the awards, where those that have come forward in earlier years come back, and we see how indeed even the work they had done earlier, award-winning work, is in fact continuing to improve. So I would urge all of you that when you get the award once, don't stop there. Please come back and share with us what you have done so that we can look at the benchmarks that you provide in terms of improvement as well. We focused on sharing these success stories, these best practices in water conservation and management. You see that through the compendiums we put out. You see that in terms of how we share these best practices. And essentially, to reward and award exemplary work being undertaken on water conservation and management is really why we set these awards together. And for every company that doesn't win an award, we still have a repository of what is going on, and indeed are also showcasing some of those examples as well. Now, industrial and agricultural water use efficiency, private sector participation in urban wastewater management, and corporate water stewardship. These are the 3 main streams of work that we continue to work in at the Water Mission. And this year, the whole stream of agriculture and water has been one that we have undertaken, and we're very fortunate to have co-chair the Water Mission, Shram Jha, who is an expert in this space, actually leading that for us. We work very closely with our Agriculture Committee, which is deeply concerned with things to do with water, and FICCI's expertise from the Agriculture Committee's expertise also comes into play here as we work through the water and agriculture work. On stewardship, and I was at the Institute of Corporate Affairs, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs Institute on corporate best practice yesterday, and water figures as a very high aspect of the agenda going forward on ESG. So it isn't just about energy and energy efficiency, but water and water efficiency. is clearly one of the key areas that have to be showcased as companies look to qualify for their ESG reports as well. I don't have to tell all of you here as to the important issues we face in terms of water management, India's own dilemma therein, the fact that we have water, the fact that we don't use it efficiently, and the fact that we are indeed water stressed unless we can sort through these issues. And the circular economy approach, and one which we continue to work in, to offer strategic direction to address the supply and demand of water management. Now,
was launched in 2015 for the first time by Honorable Prime Minister, the first version of it taking 500 cities. And in these 500 cities, which had 100,000 plus population, which accounted for 65% of the urban population of India, there was a 77,000 crore kitty provided for implementing projects of water mission. I don't know how many of you must have implemented Amrut Water Mission projects. Anybody here who implemented Amrut Water Mission projects? Usually all the companies are part of it. So, 77,000 crore had to be spent in 500 cities, which accounted for 65% of the population. I'm happy to state that when we started in 2015, the coverage was around 62% in these cities, and today it is about 84 to 85%. Actually, kindly clap, here you can clap. It's not my work, it's actually somebody, Honorable Prime Minister's guidance, and there were the states, all of them worked, and people like you worked, and this we have been able to achieve. Now, having said that, 85%, why 85%? Because 2011 census के हिसाब से हमने numbers of households लिया था. If you look at 2023, it only can account for 85 or 87%. Of course, we have many cities which have gone past 95%, and it's a matter of pride. Usually, we all have a lot of negativity coming in, but I think it's a matter of pride to have achieved that. This thing in Amrut cities, we have gone past 83-84% household coverage in urban household water. It's an average. Some cities are 95 above, some cities are 78, but then everything has moved, every state and city. Now, when you give water, you also receive water. So you give water, it enters the human systems, and then 80% of the water comes out of your human systems. Now, this 80% of water which is coming out is approximately 50,000 ml in the country. Approximately, maybe way off by 2,000-3,000 mLs. And this 50 to 53,000 ml water has to be treated. Institutionalized capacity of water treatment is 22,000 ml. The functional capacity is around 20,000 ml. And actual treatment according to the standards may or may not be there even in this 20,000 ml. What does that mean? There are two ways to approach this problem. Another 30,000 ml का treatment capacity create कर दीजिए. See, STPs are the most attractive for the industries, right? 1 ml 2 crore. The numbers match up nicely. Another 30,000 ml means another 60,000 crore rupees has to go into it, right? You give money, they build cement tanks, and then there are some moving parts, aerators, and there is something called, filtration tank, there is something called secondary treatment, and then it gets out either a polishing by the UV radiation or chlorination, whatever you call it. I mean, these are all technical terms. Many of us call it MBBR, MBR, SBR, whatever. When we think of technologies which can go past this constraint, can we think of microorganisms which can go past this constraint? Japan has done it. They call it some particular balls. They have done it, and many of our startups are doing it, and some of you are aware of it. There is enzyme dosing. Wherever there is sewage, you can do enzyme dosing and get rid of the odor and start treatment. There is microorganism, ways of doing it. But what I am asking is, can we now as a community, as a country think of, see, when oil money came in, Gulf jumped from camel to flight. Right, Sida. Okay. We are a developing country. And as we are developing, we need not go through all the motions of what the developed countries have gone through. First is industrial, then service, then IT and all. You can jump from where we are to AI-based, IoT-based, nano-biotechnology-based solutions. Aren't we? My imagination for once is, you don't let used water come out of the house. Even if it comes out clean and free. How? I was just imagining, can we have intelligent pipes? Can we have speaking infrastructure? Where the moment there is a certain amount of sewage or sludge, there are spores sitting in the pipes which will open, release itself. I mean, this is like almost a Star Trek movie I'm talking about. So, like, can we look at that kind of solutions? Otherwise, we as a country will be going पहले एक LKG पढ़ेंगे, UKG पढ़ेंगे, ये सब चलता रहेगा. That is one thing. Another is, how do you retrofit the existing 20,000 to function efficiently? If any one of you are interested, my number and my name is there, my email is there, you can tell us. See, urban sector is very, very complex. Okay? In one way or other. But government reuse, when I mean, what I mean is, see, urban का sewage part of that, Delhi है. Delhi में industry करीब होगा. But industry बिना का जो residential विस्तार है, उसका जो STP है, that is a potential candidate to take the water for reuse. Now the client should be able to govern and look at the parameters. So all of it is possible. There are sensors, there are analyzers, all that. I mean, there are so many names to it, SCADA, online analyzers and whatever. Now, we are thinking of a project of in Ahmedabad, because I worked in Ahmedabad, I could really get back to that city and tell them to do what I want them to do. We are looking at 200 MLD taken through pipeline to 15,000 acres to take the third crop. So this project is under discussion with Israeli embassy. We're going to do that. And it may not cost more than 600 crores, but the break-even will be within 2 years. Isn't it? Or even 1 year. 15,000 acres, third crop, you're done for the day. So my request is, such technology demonstration projects, if any one of you are keen on, if you want to come into the startup gateway, you can come. If you want to showcase as an independent, I would like to know from you. What is required is just mail me, ask for me for time, and we will have an online meeting. There's no need for going back and forth and telling. If I feel, especially the existing STPs which are not working well, if somebody is interested in retrofitting it as part of your listing, that is also welcome. But when you come and you ask for that work, if you are an industry, I can't give it to you without tender. So you need to be a startup to come and ask for it at 20 lakhs kind of thing, because we don't want to spill money and then, look at it. It should not become a this thing. We look at mature ideas to fund. And we also give, the best thing we give is the association with the city. Then the cities see the value and go ahead and give them more business. This is what is happening. We'll also be issuing advisory. But used water, don't call it waste water. Used water is a very important resource which has to be reclaimed. And if all of you are keen on it and want to work, I mean, there are so many technologies which I've seen, these nanoparticles which act as coagulants and so on and so forth. Kindly, it's finally the microorganisms and how you give the substratum to the microorganisms to sit and work efficiently. You have to give them the desk and chair, right? That's all it is. Is there anything beyond that in this STPs? That's all. So thank you so much for this opportunity, ma'am. I'm sorry that I have to find solutions which are Indian context. नाला को कैसे treat करें जैसे वो भागता है उसी में कैसे treat करें. There are technologies, there are people trying it, but they need a little bit of more strength and structure. Can the companies, can the institutions, can the people give this to them? I am willing to collaborate with you if you have any ideas. You may not know under Amrut. See, government doesn't give money directly to anybody. Okay, project. But under Amrut, we fund 20 lakhs to each startup directly without tender and associate them with cities. So far, we have onboarded 76 startups. The moment we finish the plans and it starts operating, the most preliminary of organisms are not happy with your construction. So in the evolution, they are at the bottom level, but they are also not happy with what we are doing. So they are not there to treat the water. Now, how do you attend this problem? There are two ways to attend this problem. Go the business as usual. CHP लगाते जाओ, इसको ये करो, वो करो. But I was just questioning. In the age of AI, in the age of the kind of technology we have, IoT, and we know which are the microorganisms which can break down waste. Okay. In a city, all of it is not industrial waste. Many cities do not have industrial waste.
Received as a part of the 11th edition of FICCI Water Awards. The case studies of the awardees are published in the compendium. Thank you very much indeed to all our Raman Jha is co-chair FICCI Water Mission, CEO of Hindustan Unilever Foundation for his kind address.
As we go on. Yes, Shravan, you're right after that. Yeah.
Obviously inspiration to all of us. All of the jury members and the winners and the water warriors, good morning to everybody. It's always a pleasure to be associated with FICCI, as Madam was telling. I've been with FICCI for last so many years, so many of you have seen the same speech which I used to give. So I don't have much time, but then I want to make some or two points in continuation with what Tara said, because water has now gained a lot of importance. Water is being looked after as a very important resource which needs to be protected, which needs to be cared for, which needs to be valued for. So I thank FICCI and the water, the FICCI and who have been persistently over the last many years pushing for increasing the value of water. So thanks that things have now moved out to that level where water is being valued. A lot of thought is being given to the water sector, particularly after the Prime Minister came in, when we formed the Ministry of Jal Shakti, when we started the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, when we started the National Mission for Clean Gange, when we started the Swachh Bharat Mission, Jal Jeevan Mission. There were umpteen schemes which were related to the capturing. All these actually focusing on improving the water governance in the country, taking the tough decisions of probably water pricing, maybe of water, I don't say rationing, but then appropriately distributing water for various demands. All may come later on. But then we are in the right direction, involving people in a big way. The Jan Andolan has started. Now, 2 or 3 points which Tara said, I would like to continue further, because many of the industrialists who would be interested in where the water business is heading. One very important thing is this use of treated water is going to be a big thing. So Tara calls it useful water, so we call it as Apna water. Apna water is our own water. NMCG had come out with a policy, national framework, policy framework on the safe use of treated water. That has been circulated to all the chief secretaries of states. We have had many rounds of meeting with them. We have involved the GIZ and the other foreign agencies, to World Bank, etc., to support us. So this process has picked up steam to become for the use of treated water, Apna water. National Mission for Clean Gange has tied up with railways for using the water for cleaning up the coaches, etc. In some of the places they already started. We are already supplying from Mathura, who is here. We are also tied up with the NTPC, that's the National Thermal Power Projects plants. 23-4 of them have been identified. 3 are actually on the final stages for getting it implemented. NTPC, the thermal power sector, being one of the largest usages of water in the industrial sector. We are actually trying to do something about the usage of water from the treated STPs for the operations of the thermal plants. 3 would be starting very shortly. As I said, 24 STPs have been identified. Thermal plants have been identified with the 50 kilometer radius of the STPs. Similarly, We are also pushing this agriculture, usage of water in agriculture, so that the abstraction of good water, fresh water from the rivers can be used. Since I am concerned with the river, and river is the water which flows, it's not a stagnant water which we see as in probably in Delhi. We require water which is flowing, and that would make the river water clean. And my mandate as the mission director for national mission for the NMCG is to ensure that clean water flows in the river. To ensure that water has to flow, we require a minimum flow water. That means there should be some provision for water to come in. So the biggest source of water is of course the rains, and when the monsoon is over, we should have the water saved in the flood dams to be slowly released to the rivers, or the dams which import the water to release the water slowly. So that is what we have been working with GIS and etc. And Dr. Hussain and all that here. We are working to ensure environmental flow in certain reaches of the river. One in the upper reaches of Gange have been notified, other Ganga is being notified. The second important thing is, as I said, in the use of treated waters for agriculture. We are now taking up agriculture for irrigation purposes. This treated water to be given. In Mysore and Bangalore, there are good examples where the treated water is used for irrigation in Kolar area. So that will be theoretically reduce the abstraction of good water from the rivers, which ensure that the water will flow in the river, which means that there will be environmental flow in the river. So to ensure that the water flows in the river, we are trying to reduce the abstraction of water for irrigation purposes by substituting that water with Apna water. That's one thing which we are doing. So why I am telling all this is because these are all tremendous industrial opportunity for you to take it up. Another industrial opportunity which Tara was mentioning is also is the monitoring part of it. The STPs which are built used to be built for contractors and then forget about it. And in the last 2 years, we have taken a very conscious decision in changing the business model also, as well as in the operations part of it also, to ensure that the STPs built are functional. And चला के दिखाना है, तो उसमें चालाकी नहीं चलेगा. That's the important part of it. And second, another model which we have taken up was a one city one operator, which is also been very useful to prevent the blame game. पहले क्या थे, एक सिटी में 5 STPs है, रिवर में गंदा पानी आएगा तो they used to shift the blame. हमारे से नहीं, उससे है, उससे नहीं, उससे है. तो we have now started the concept of one city one operator. जितने भी STP एक एरिया में है, वो एक बंदे को दे देंगे. He will have to ensure that the water in the river flowing back should be clean. Now that brings up to the another very important aspect which we have done, a very important step which we have taken in COP28. We in NMCG had, with the help of NIUA, started what was called as a River City Alliance. It's a new concept where cities on the banks of rivers, the cities on the banks of rivers are brought into one platform. We started off with 30 cities of Gange Basin in 2021 November, and then we found that it's very useful. We tried to bring in municipal commissioners to build capacities, their capacities of handling the river, and also imbibing them that river should be part of urban planning. Because हमारा क्या होता है, urban planning में क्या होता था? All urban planners were, and the commissioners and the urban planners were interested in vehicle management, traffic management, flyovers, building resolutions, TDR, PDR, everything. Entertainment zone, never in water. So which now we have come up with the concept of using rivers as a growth engine. आप देखेंगे when you go to cities like London or Paris, we take photographs of us cruising in river and say क्या बहुत अच्छा है. हमारे यहाँ भी क्यों ऐसे हो सकता है? We have enough flowing by, not flowing exactly, we flow slowly, going by in Delhi. How many can be adventurous enough to go in a boat? I have gone twice, but that requires a lot of courage and probably closing the nose to go around in Yamuna River. But this has to change. Urban planners have to look at how to use river as a growth engine. And that's why we in the concept of urban river management plan and the River City Alliance, we have made a lot of capacity building exercises, how to use river as a growth engine. So in that process, the River City Alliance formed, as I mentioned, 30 cities. We started on 25th November 2021, and now about a month back had 142 cities. We expanded into cities all over the country, and this is the only alliance in the world where the cities on the banks of rivers all over the country is brought in one platform, and a lot of capacity building training programs are happening. So you have a tremendous opportunity in talking to the commissioners of cities and how they can use this platform for developing your businesses and ensuring good water. So this also leads to the urban water management principles, which is again a part of the URMP. Now we found that this is a very useful exercise. Many municipal commissioners in various parts of the country have been interacting very closely with us. We have started preparing URMPs for cities. We already prepared 3 cities: Ayodhya, Kanpur, and Aurangabad. This year we are planning to make 25 more cities plans. Next year we try to complete up to 60 URMPs. So 60 urban river management plans would be a part of DPRs will be ready, which can be used for further implementing. And taking the cue from the support we got from municipal commissioners, we started with the concept of global river city alliance. That's where I would like to make a very interesting announcement to you. On 6th of December at COP28 in Dubai, I signed a MOU with the 124 cities on the banks of Mississippi. The Mississippi River Towns and City Initiative. About 5-6 mayors of those cities on the bank in Mississippi had come, and NLCG signed a memorandum of common purpose to share technology, to share knowledge, to share best practices between the two countries. And going further, on 10th of December, we signed and launched what is called as a Global River City Alliance at Dubai. It's a very important momentous occasion for us, where almost 11 countries, or 4 of them are ministers, and other senior officials of the countries, and funding agencies like World Bank, ADP and AIB, and knowledge partners like KPMG, etc., came forward to form what is called as a Global River City Alliance, which is the first of its kind in the world. Here we have, under the leadership of India, of course, we are trying to say that we are providing a platform for all the business opportunities to showcase their technologies. And in this GRCA, 2 very important decisions were taken. One, we will include financial institutions, because otherwise all these plans prepared will remain in paper. So financial institutions are part of it. And second most important, maybe music to yours, is we are also onboarding private technology enterprises. We say that anybody who can give technical support, knowledge, whether it is water treatment or water management, all private entrepreneurs are welcome to be part of this program. And this will be a platform where you can talk to any cities, learn from any cities, and be any part of the world. So you are having 11 countries with it, almost 300 cities as of now. Probably much more will join in a short time. We are looking at about 500 cities of the world who would be on a platform for you to make your investment and make money out of it. Along with that, protecting the water also. So my request to all of you is that you are all joiners of industries, and the winners who have been, I am told that they are all wonderful winners are there, and the participation also was very good this time. So this is an opportunity for all of you to look at serving the nation, serving the world, as well as serving the environment around you while making money. So please join us in the Global Diversity Alliance.
Technologies. Let's now hear Mr. Tarun Kumar from Ecos STP Technologies. They have also come out with a very unique mechanism to really treat the sewage. Over to Mr. Tarun.
Thank you, Doctor. From Bangalore. So, this is a famous, or infamous Vartur lake, which is burns once in a while because the sewage that comes in. And I live near this lake, that's why I'm personally impacted. Right? So, sewage, yeah, I'm audible? Yeah. Right. So, we're talking about 400 million liters of sewage coming every single day to this lake. 400 million liters per day. And last time it burned, 1.5 years back, it burned for 14 hours. My public memory is short, I don't know when it will burn. Where we are now, that's all SBR, MMBR, standard STPs, which work very well if you have operator power chemicals, right? But we don't have that in many places, like we see the lake burning. And we suggest move to the ecological sanitation, wherein you do something different, like constructed wetland, something which is more sustainable. It should work, of course. It should work with all the norms of the country, but at the same time sustainable. If you don't do sustainable, it won't last. And that's what we are focused on. Can you move to the next slide, please? So how do we do this, right? How did nature treat all these years? All this, next slide? Yeah. All these years, right? So we call it biomimicry. Biomimicry is nothing but mimicking nature. How did nature sort of do it? How did nature treat sewage last few billion years, right? We never had this power, chemical motors and all running, right? So a couple of examples. So the good old example of the Velcro is another example of biomimicry. Bullet train is a great example of how do you, just the noise of the bullet train just got halved just by copying a shape of a kingfisher's beak. So move on, please. So we went looking into a cow as a solution. Why cow? Because cow works on good old anaerobic digestion. Is that in separate tank? But cow's stomach is a much deeper anaerobic digestion system, which we mimicked. Very old technique, we just improved it. Right? It's nothing new. So we just mimic the whole thing. The cow's stomach bacteria, the cow's structure, so structure as well as the microorganisms, and we're still learning. Right? So please move on, please. Yeah. And along with the constructed wetland, and that's all you need. Next slide, please. Right. So this is one of the apartments in Bangalore, right next to the lake. Right. The water stage 1, 2, 3 is below the what you see when you enter, and there's a wetland, and clean water comes out. So they don't have to. This sustainable sanitation, they don't have to dump to the drain, which goes to the lake. If you don't have this, you put a normal STP, they may run for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or maybe a year, and then switch off the motors and let out of the drain that goes to the lake. So this is what we are trying to resolve. Next slide, please. That's my last slide. See this. So yeah, that's on my last slide. Thank you very much.
Progress since then. My name is Kamal Tiwari. I am CEO and Director with Daiichi Access India. And we have a concept and technology called Jokaso. Sorry, I'm not presenting anything. I would rather share the thoughts and then maybe provoke your thinking. Talking about something called Jokaso, which simply means purification tank. It is a grey plus black water combined treatment system from 1 KLD to 1 MLD range. That is the fitment of the technology, and it provides all the benefit which are required for such a solution, which is, let's say, lesser footprint, sustainable cost, and very simple technology to implement at the area. So what I would like to maybe talk about is not per se about technology. We have good literature, and it is a very well demonstrated and implemented technology. But about, let's say, how to, let's say, implement in the case of India and what benefit it is providing to you, and how we have learned with different cases in India. So one big thing about this technology is that it empowers the user. It is useful for a single household, school, hospital, shopping complex, industry, government, and two prime purposes of, let's say, any decentralized wastewater management technologies. One, to help in terms of pollution abatement, whether you are, let's say, discharging water to environment, it should be safe and meet the standard. Second is about empowering you to reuse the treated water at your own premise. So we have both cases which are already available in India. So how we did about this is technology from Japan and concept from Japan, and it has been very widely used in Japan since 60s and 70s. So almost 26% of Japan wastewater is treated by Jokaso, so it's not new. In India, we came in 2018, and India market is very complex and diverse. So what we did was basically in Indian climatic condition, first we wanted to prove the result. So we went to IIT Roorkee, and we did one full year study with IIT Roorkee to demonstrate that each parameter which we are claiming of the treated water is 100% met. And we are very happy that the entire result was much better than maybe what we were claiming. So we went to scale up. So we have tested, and now we have 700 plus systems working across India, from Jammu Kashmir to Tamil Nadu to Gujarat to, let's say, Northeast, on different cases, from school, hospital, residential colony to railway station to bus stop. All the kind of cases are there. And also in terms of biology, what we missed point is basically temperature also has a very strong bearing on the treatment capacity of the technology. And now we have also done our process validation by IIT, and now we are implementing technology in Uttarakhand for, let's say, Gaurikund and that area. We are working with the NFCG for those projects. So those technologies are demonstrated, and what we realize is in case of India, we have, let's say, not a uniform standard, or let's say the standards are not there. So we went to BIS to form a standard, and I'm very happy to report that next few months we will have package STP standard in India, first time rolled out. Also, another big bottleneck in, let's say, technology scale up in India is basically about skilling, that you don't get skilled manpower. So we went with a skill university and we started a program for skilled operators, and now that program is already there. So I think now the next core question where I think we need to focus is about scale. So we have already set up 2 factories in India, and we are already implementing 50 to 60 systems in a month kind of a scale. And what we believe that we are able to set up a factory in 6 to 7 months period. So we are now looking for scale up, and area where we are working with industry and, let's say, the government is to decouple the, let's say, the industry and maybe scale up. And I think where we can work with the startup is to each scale of the technology implementation, whether it is, let's say, because I don't believe that one technology fits everywhere. There are, let's say, scheme which have to be designed with multiple technologies, and we can collaborate together. Similarly, there are 26 companies which we support from India right now who are implementing the technology on the ground, so we can look at much more companies in that space. Similarly, maintenance companies. So there is, I feel there is a lot of scope for collaboration. So thank you so much.
Respond to some of these questions. The first thing which is most important is that you have done as individuals a lot of work in your own respective segment. And as such, India needs an ecosystem at the country level, where all these things which are in terms of the water technologies, the new technologies which are needed by the country. What kind of ecosystem you feel that will work, which will help develop these technologies, and then not only develop but also disseminate those technologies? You have mentioned something in that direction, but I'll start with maybe Mr. Vijay Gauri.
I think technology is one part, but expanding, scaling up, and making benefit at a large scale. This is really a challenging area, and I think a lot of collaborations, partnerships, and networking is required. I think I would strongly suggest that the role of government in terms of policies, in terms of encouraging, involvement of startups, as Mrs. Thara this morning said, Amrut program really started with, giving opportunities to startup. They have selected the startup, their technologies, and they have given cities to demonstrate their technologies. I think these kind of opportunities definitely going to help the startups or even the technology inventors to scale up their operations. I think demonstration is the first milestone, I would say, to prove the technology and also to understand the technology benefits. But I think the next step is basically how, the scaling up. So I think it requires a lot of partnership with government, a lot of partnership with industries, and a lot of partnership with other partners, like in a sort of an integration of different technologies. So I think this will probably help, and that's my experience.
What about you, Dr. Suhani? You can also add the segment that what role the startups can play.
So I think there are, I think in my experience there have been 4 components to it. So it depends on the pipeline and it depends on what stage the startup is at. So in stage 1 where, okay, sorry. Is it better now? Yeah. So I think it depends on what stage the startup is at. So in stage 1, I believe the demonstration grants or the financial help and aids from the government really helps, and probably some of the CSR initiatives also, which has been taken by several industries, have helped a lot of startups like ours to really have a demonstrative project. But I think after that, there are a couple of things which can be done to make sure this technology transfer is well received. So if I think one of the key things probably can be subsidies and tax incentives, especially for new products. If that way innovation can be propagated in the industrial space, that would be one of the things. Second thing I think can be programs like these as well, because a lot of industrial recognitions have helped us in the past, and I know a lot of startups in similar space or other spaces also, where recognitions and having this kind of interaction, direct interaction with companies have also helped a lot to them. Another thing what I think is the kind of business model creation. So especially when you're working with newer products, industries also should have some incentive to work. So maybe performance-based contracts, where industries also can assure that the products they are investing in, although it might be capital intensive in the initial stages, but the performance is guaranteed. So probably a different cost structure and a business model also have helped a lot of startups and industrial relationship establishment. So these are the main 3 things which probably from an industrial perspective can be done. Residential, of course, is a very different clientele segments, and probably getting there might be the hardest. B2C segment is the hardest. In terms of B2G, I believe after the demonstration, it really depends on the kind of business what we have had. So it really helps if there are some financial aids and financial institutions which are already there, and the tender kind of EDM values can be lowered for especially startups. There can be some subsidies there as well, so that newer innovation can come in, and a little bit easier payment structures, especially in the B2G space for newer companies. So these are the 4 or 5 things which can probably help a lot of startups get into make scalable businesses.
Thank you much.
Eventually it's all on us. We don't treat our sewage. We are let out to the drain, and that's a sad fact. So discuss now chicken egg theory. How do you push the end users to do? For example, you have around 20 plus colleges who are using your STP. But there are thousands of colleges in India, they don't let out the drain. The temples, masjid, church, they all let out the drain. So we have few church with us, few masjid with us. But so as a conscious, we don't want to trade waste because it's free. Because I was talking to Mr. Kamal earlier. Coca-Cola used to say that the biggest competition is Limbu Pani, not Pepsi. Similarly, our biggest competition is drain and separate tax. It's easy to let out to the drain, and drain is very well. So, like right now, thanks to Taramam, we got a grant and we're deploying an STP in Majnu Katila. We're deploying it. Right now, it's overflowing. Right? It's just overflowing. The whole area stinks. Now I'm just diverting our STP and treat, but it should not overflow. Right? So how do we get that thing, right? So we have policies, everybody, the rule says sewage has to be treated, decentralized, but it's not enforced. So you have to enforce it, you have to make sure the education is done, so you have to really focus on it, otherwise it's a tough thing to resolve.
You're right, but then the question is that how at the local level you have to convince people? There has to be participation from the people who are living in those areas. Right. So that's the part of education which who do you feel that is the best to take that my message forward?
Like, and it will look deeper. Like for example, many customers, why they switch off, why they let out the drain? They say, I'm paying taxes. I'm paying taxes because it's a government's job. It's not my job. Partially they're right. So in the heart they are innocent. Right? No one wants to be let out water the public drain, but I'm clean because the government job is not doing it, so why should I do this? So those are the excuses we give ourselves. So I think it's all up to us. It's all fake stories you build up in a head. Get real, do something. Technology is available, and of course it's cost. Nothing comes free, but tech is available. Only to see, are you ready to do this? Will you treat your sewage? And that's
which used to go to the drain outside your street is no more going there. Where is going? It's going to the sewer line. Sewer lines are not designed for that. So whenever the rain comes, all this water which is going into the sewer line, they surcharge the sewer line. Then you start getting flooded with the sewage, not the storm water. But those are things where nobody even, people even don't realize that they have done something wrong. So I feel that you have to have some science also applied. Understand your systems, try to disseminate the information about your systems. What is ailing the system? Why is misbehaving? Why is not functioning properly? That is the part where it has to be taken either through the school curriculum or through other dissemination exercises, where people should understand that their role is important, their participation is important, and they also need to understand what is the right way of doing things. Yes, over to you.
Things which will change, which are required to be changed. I think to start with is the approach. I feel the approach to water in India is very fragmented. We talk about bits and pieces at different stages, and we are looking at only that level. And similarly, while there are technologies and let's say solutions which are newer, which are innovative, but the way our buying method and buying system is same old one. For example, let's say if you go to any government tender or anything, you are looking at typical CVC guideline, you are looking at typical where you have done, you show me 10 installation, 20 installation, like that approach. Similarly, if you are, let's say for example, we are providing 1 KLD to 1 MLD kind of a product solution which is made out of factory. So buying the product in a project where you make a DPR, then you make a tender, then you compare bid, then you do a whole evaluation. So whole solution, for example, for Jokaso, entire solution execution really on the ground will take 30 to 90 days, and the tendering process and selection process will take at least 3 years. So this is where we are missing the point. Similarly, when you look at, let's say you are ultimately what you are doing in the name of decentralized, you are basically again implementing MLD processes. So to me, I think the approach is when you, let's say, take wastewater from collection point to a centralized point, you are increasing the complexity both by volume and also by the nature of the waste. So when you treat it near the source, you are making it more simpler, more efficient, and you are also empowering the user. Like Tarun just said, that current mindset as a citizen is basically sewage is a government problem, because government is one who is planning the infrastructure, government is the one who is running that infrastructure. So as a citizen, I don't see any participation there. But when you implement a decentralized solution, if it is in my house, then it is my responsibility. And you look at how we are dealing with, let's say, water sector and how we are looking at other sector. We can learn from, let's say, how we have enabled solar system, how we are enabling EV market. Now, when we look at our approach of how we are approaching as a country to water and how we are approaching to EV, we will see complete contrast. So we don't have to maybe get a new thinking from anywhere else in the world. We have already done in some other sector. I think it is required in water sector, and one good opportunity is to do it in the, let's say we are sitting at the right place. FICCI is the platform to collaborate between MSME, industry or user on one side, and MSME suppliers on the other side. Water is a MSME sector. You have, let's say, 10,000 plus companies serving in water sector in India. And you have, let's say, similar number of companies on the user side. So if we, let's say, create a collaboration platform even within FICCI, for example, now, let's say, since we started Water Award, I am sure there are 30 to 50 companies which have won award. If those technology itself can be scaled up, and we look at, let's say, some water unicorn here in India, I think that will be the approach we will need. Yeah.
Thank you. Available either through the FICCI or through the government. But about other two gentlemen, do you have anything to add? That what kind of incentive you feel that the industry can be given to really update some of these technologies and investments?
I think CSR programs, and that's an opportunity for startups to get into, has to be more flexible, accommodative for new innovations. We had approached a couple of CSR partners, and I think the very common universal answer is there is no budget for this innovation. I think CSR program can actually accommodate some innovation fund, etc., to provide the opportunities. If it is really benefiting the society, if it is really solving the problem, the common problem, then I think that could be a very good entry point for startups to work with industries.
Yeah, just to add, not the lake, including so they put this STP, our STP, Eco STP for the office, found it working, and now most people are, okay, regulator said yes, so I can possibly adopt. But this is not easy in other states. Many of them go with the traditional STP, this is all good old septic tank, aerobic, it will not work. So mindset changing takes long time, because you are set to certain way of doing things. So that's one of the challenges we have, but slowly changing. Looking forward to.
There is something which we also can do. So as companies working in the supply side of wash sector, if we had put in, we all come together and put in the effort to really inform us, of course it will be a one-time effort from all our sides together, but I think cumulative effort from all of us probably will help us in the long run. Because right now what is lacking is the information, not just about the technology, but about the grandeur of the problem also. Especially the kind of clients we are working with, all of us. So I think that would also help us. So there is a very key problem in the wash sector. There are a lot of companies, but they don't work together as well, even in the wash sector. So the competition element is not there, but even then people are not coming together. So I think that would really help if a couple of companies come together and really work it out together and try to have an information program. Like in other industries, we have seen that happening, be it water sector, drinking water sector. Eureka Folks, when they started, there were so many other companies which also came up, but they are not competing with each other. They have a very distinct offering, but the information with safe water is going from all of them together. Same message is going. I think consistent messages also will help.
And who has to look at the total city as a unit? I think unless you have that kind of information, that what is the present status of the city, and that is what has to be done by the people like the Ministry of Urban Affairs. When they are taking these cities, we are still not mapping their systems in a manner in which they need to be analyzed, and you need to find out what is the specific problem of that city. So we are trying to find solutions which will be applied everywhere in a uniform manner. That is not the right thing. I have a feeling personally that we have to have each city analyzed in a manner with a similar methodology maybe, but the solution requirement will come out by looking at the specifics of the cities. In Delhi, whatever is happening, it may not be the same thing or similar thing which is happening in Chennai or in Mumbai. They will have their own issues. So I know whether that can be done by the municipalities. They don't have that kind of manpower, and as well as the capabilities. So we have to really think in terms of as a national sport, that how the information about the cities can be put in an integrated manner, and most of these solutions are connected to each other, whether there is a interface between the water supply and the sewage, or the flood, the drainage systems. All these things are effectively creating the problems for the citizens of individual cities. And I feel that we need to really look into that aspect as well. I'll stop here, but let's now go back to the question session.
To the panel that we are currently looking at, this is about how do we engage the stakeholders as well as we move forward in terms of water stewardship. the first question that comes to our mind is, because there are n number of stewardship models, what does stewardship mean for industries and for the community at large? And how do you operationalize stewardship in the larger context of water security? So that's what the panel would largely be discussing. They would be presenting their insights, experiences, and also the best practices that have been evolved over time with regard to engaging the stakeholders in the sector. Personally, for me, it will be both an enriching experience interacting with you, learning from the knowledge of our esteemed panelists, and also gaining from what we saw in the morning in terms of the innovations that most of you promote in the industry. So from the World Bank, we manage stakeholder platforms at the state level, and we have been managing stakeholder platforms called as multi-stakeholder partnerships in water over the past 10 years. We have been working with the government of Maharashtra, the government of Karnataka, and the government of Uttar Pradesh. We've been working with the private sector, the civil society, and the governments, leading stakeholder dialogues, and also helping the governments move the needle in terms of implementation with the stakeholders. So it's not just about stakeholder engagement for the sake of it, but it's also for the engagement to move the needle in terms of implementation, to move and create better policy designs that will help the government achieve its goals. Also help the community in having shared prosperity and goals that can mean well for both the society and the environment. Now, with some of the multi-stakeholder platform experiences that we've had at Water Resources Group, we have been able to help the government design wastewater reuse policies in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, also help the government of Uttar Pradesh develop the water policy for the state. So in all these cases, I think the multi-stakeholder platform in different forms and shapes, which our panelists will be explaining further, has also helped in bringing together divergent views and voices. So I think that has been the best case and best utility that the government has found in multi-stakeholder platforms or stakeholder platforms in general. So I think it's more than creating that divergent voices, it's also helping create policies and government orders and directives that can help implementation of innovative programs that has been the cornerstone of stakeholder dialogues and platforms. So here,
the topic for the panel today is, and what we require right now in our context is a single definition which is accepted by the corporates across the board, and which is clear to understand, and which is then the basis for looking at progress in this area. So I'll just take you through some of the common definitions which are there used by various global organizations. So as you can see, this is the CEO Water Mandate of the UN, and to begin with, basically, if you think about it, stewardship starts with looking at your own operations, how much water is being used, how much is being discharged, the quality aspects, and how much water can be saved, so looking at how to save cost on the water. So that's the first level, right? Then the next level goes to, okay, we've done our own operations, now let's look at the value chain. So we are sourcing materials from various suppliers, how much water are they consuming? So we go to the concept of footprint, right? So you might have heard about this concept. So how do we reduce the water footprint of our products and the input to the products? So that's the next level of thinking. Then if you go slightly beyond that, then we come to the risk aspect. Okay, so in the current scenario, you have a lot of risk in terms of access, availability, quality, quantity, and because of climate change also there are a lot of variable factors. So how do we assess the risk? How do we assess the cost involved with the risk? And how do we reduce that cost? So that's the next level. So as businesses, we all need to look at these three levels first. Then, if you can go to the next slide, please. So this is a ladder which was developed by the World Wildlife Fund. And as I was saying, the first step is awareness about your own water use, and then looking at, the value chain, looking at how to improve the operations. The next level is, once you stop thinking about your own company or operations and start thinking about the environment and society. Okay, what's the impact? So suppose you have a factory and a facility in a basin. So what is the impact of your water use on the other users in the basin? Okay, so that's the impact part. So that's the fourth level. And then the next part is, okay, working collaboratively. So one is individual action. So there is a limited amount we can achieve through our own actions. The next part of stewardship is, can we work together with others in the same basin, in the same industry, to achieve a larger goal which would benefit all. So not just win-win for us, but win-win for everyone. And then the highest level, which has the maximum impact, would be, can we influence government policy? Can we influence public dialogue?